Today on Ballistic BBQ, we are going to be resurrecting a 575-year-old barbecue beef recipe. We're cooking it on El Patron. Let's get going. I saw the recipe that I'm about to cook today and another rib recipe on a channel called Tasting History. This really interested me because it's something that we can all relate to. You know, it's a barbecue rib recipe, but it was cooked in the medieval times. And yeah, I really love, you know, historic things when it comes to food especially. So I really was excited about doing this. The channel Tasting History, it's a guy named Max that runs it. He does a really good job of explaining history and traditions of those times. So I started ordering some of the recipes that are a little bit more obscure. And I also started to kind of delve into the recipe itself. It was found in, it's called the Harleian manuscripts. And this recipe was created in 1450 AD. It's an English recipe. And one of the things that was challenging to Max and a blog I found was basically, you know, translating the Old English, because Old English is actually quite different from the English we speak nowadays. And there's some of it's kind of funny the way they explain, you know, the procedures. We're going to kick this off with, I got 2 racks of beef ribs here. You can see pretty nice racks of beef back ribs. And I'm just going to salt these just with coarse ground salt. And I did peel the membrane off the back. I don't know if they're going to be doing that, you know, in the Middle Ages, but I did it. Okay, I have El Patron running right now at about 200 degrees. That's where I'm going to try to keep it. We're going to get these on the pit and then move on to the next step. Okay, I'll show you the setup here, how I'm running it in a sec. Get those ribs on first. So as you can see, that lower damper is pretty shut for this really low temperature I'm running. We're using lump charcoal, and I do not have it on the fire brick. I have it directly on the charcoal grate, which is at the lowest position right now. So the heat is not being diffused. We're cooking with direct heat. And throw this is some hickory. Side vent is pretty tight as well. Other side's actually closed at the moment, and I'll be making adjustments as the cook progresses. Okay, now this medieval recipe is saying, at this point, cook the ribs until they're done nigh. In other words, they're not completely done. We're going to pull them off, and we're going to put them in a foil pan. I'm sure they use some type of ceramic, you know, dish or something. And we're going to cover them with the barbecue sauce. I'm calling it a barbecue sauce. The sauce that we're going to be making here in a few minutes. I do want to mention that Max in his video and also on this blog, they cooked their ribs in the oven. They did, you know, indoor recipe. And that's one of the reasons I got kind of excited about this recipe, because, you know, back in the Middle Ages, they're cooking like over big open hearths, you know. And I think that El Patron is probably going to give it a more accurate representation than, you know, an indoor oven. And we're cooking, you know, live fire. We've got some wood in there providing some smoke. So I think it's hopefully going to turn out a little bit more authentic than we'd get out of an oven. Anyway, like I said, now we're going to make this kind of a barbecue sauce stuff that actually sounds very, very good. Let's do it. Kicking it off with some minced parsley. This is Italian flat leaf parsley. 4 diced onions. 2 cups of Zante currant. And currants aren't something that we use a lot of in the United States. Basically what they are really tiny raisins. They come from a city in Greece called Corinth, and back in the day they were called raisins of Corinth. Then it kind of morphed into raisins of Corin, and eventually currant, which is what we have here. So 2 cups of currant. Just like I said, little teeny weeny raisins. I have here 2 teaspoons of pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of cloves, and 2 teaspoons of red sandalwood. So red sandalwood is a spice that was very popular back in the Middle Ages, up through the Victorian ages, and basically it's powdered sandalwood. And you know, I've had and used like sandalwood soap and everything. It smells really good. It's definitely got a lighter flavor than like cinnamon, but it's kind of mainly used because it's like a natural red dye. And that's one of the modern applications for this would be to, you know, kind of boil it in some water and it will turn red. You can use it as a dye. So in go the dry stuff. 2 pinches of saffron and 2 teaspoons of salt. So let me get all this stuff mixed together. Those ribs are already starting to smell really, really good. All right, pretty well mixed. 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. Then I'm going with a full bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon wine, or red wine, 4 cups. Like I said, Max cooked 1 rack of ribs, so I just doubled his recipe. Look. Let's get this all mixed together. Now, as far as the currant, I bought those on Amazon. The same with the sandalwood powder, that red powdered sandalwood. One thing I will caution you on, I'll have a link down below for exactly what I purchased, but you want to make sure you get, you know, culinary grade, food grade sandalwood if you're going to try this recipe, or if you want to try it for like a red dye. And from what I've read, you do not want to use because they sell sandalwood powder for like skincare. You do not want to use the sandalwood from India for foods, because I guess it's kind of toxic. But anyway, all right, this is pretty well mixed up. So we're just going to let this set now until we're ready for the next step. See you then. Okay, we're at 2.5 hours now. Pit's been running great. It's been maintaining very stable. Like I said, right around between 200 and 215. It's really happy with that. Oh, look at that. These are looking good. I have not taken any peeks at these ribs since I started cooking. Look at that color. Looks nice. And they are done nigh. Right, I'm going to go ahead and open the damper all the way. Get these guys open up. Now what I'm looking for is 300 degrees, in the 300 degree range. I'm going to go ahead and start slicing these ribs. They're tender. They're going to go into the pan with the that sauce. I want to just make sure that they're all in there getting covered with the stuff. A smoke ring developed there. I mean, they're edible. They're definitely, you know, done. They're not as tender as I'd wanted to be. So I think another 90 minutes to 2 hours with this sauce will get them to where they should be for this recipe, because we're not cooking traditional like Southern barbecue here. This is traditional Middle Ages barbecue. And the recipe actually calls them stewed beef ribs. All right, now take this medieval concoction here. Just cover everything. I'm betting short ribs would be really, really good with this. Amazing how much that liquid was absorbed, but I'm sure the currants absorbed a lot of it. All right. So we're at 260 and rising fast. This will be at 300 before you know it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is just leave it on the pit, and I'll check it in about 90 minutes and see where we're at. Again, we're not going by traditional kind of barbecue standards. This is more braised anyway. It looks really good to me. I'm excited about this, and this is the oldest recipe I think I've ever done. So 90 minutes, we'll check on these ribs. All right, we've been at this for 90 minutes now. Let's see where we're at. I have a feeling they'll be done. Whew. Yeah. We have the tenderness that I'm looking for. It's not mushy and like completely off the bone. It'll definitely pull off the bone clean, but I think this is exactly where I want it to be. What I'm going to do is I'll take this in the kitchen and just let these rest a little bit, plate them up, bring them out, give you guys a try. All right, here we are. Medieval beef ribs. They smell really, really good. My wife was commenting on the smell of the cook. She said, it smells really different than barbecue beef ribs. She says, it smells good, but it smells different. And it did. It definitely smelled different. So I just obviously put them on a big platter. Then I poured a lot of the, well, not a lot, pretty much most of the juices and everything that were in the bottom of the pan on top of this. And back then, they would, basically you would use what they called a trencher, which was like a large slice of like stale bread. And you would put your meat on top of that because it would soak up all the juices dripping in, and then you'd have something else to eat after the meat. Anyway, let's give it a try here. Looks like a pretty decent one. And I got the doneness is right where I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be very, very, very tender, but I didn't want it to just, I didn't want to open up the foil and just see a bunch of bones in there. Very, very tender. See, I got a nice smoke ring there, even just, 2 hours. Definitely getting that smoke flavor. I'm guessing that's definitely one thing that they didn't get cooking them in the ovens. Max, again, awesome channel. I'll have the link to his video down below. But they're doing their replicas, or what would you call it, recreations in their kitchen oven, and you're not getting that, the smoke that they would be getting in, cooking on those big like hearth style ovens back in the 1400s. So good. Let me get one with more meat on it. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. It's a really pretty color. Even the bones, were kind of stained with that sandalwood in the wine. So delicate. Like I said, you're definitely getting that nice smoky bite, but the currants on here, so you can see them, they've all been rehydrated, and as you're taking your bite, you're getting these little sweet pops, and it's just in different places in your mouth. So it's not like you're getting that consistent sweet, raisiny kind of flavor. It's just little individual pops you're getting in your mouth, which is very unique. I've never had a rib where I've had that kind of sensation eating it. It's good. I mean, it's hard to compare it to anything. I think the best way of explaining how it tastes is, braised short ribs that have been braised in wine. But definitely you're getting a little bit more sweetness with this. I don't know where or what kind of flavor the sandalwood has imparted on it at all. And this is just falling apart. You know, it's interesting. I made the liquid for this, you know, the barbecue sauce, whatever you want to call it for this, the braising liquid. And it sat for over an hour. I mean, well over an hour while I was waiting for time to actually pour it over the ribs. It absorbed so much liquid. I mean, there was 4 cups of wine alone in there, and there was maybe a cup left, you know, of actual just liquid, standalone liquid. So all the currants and all those dry ingredients just absorbed all that liquid. Now, after the cook, of course, I have all those beef renderings, and I'm sure a lot of the dry ingredients released some of the wine and everything. It has such a great, like a gravy down here at the bottom. And I really wish I would have caught it on video when as I plated it up, I put the ribs down first, and then I was just pouring that beautiful sauce over the ribs, and my mouth was just drooling, you know. It would have made a good shot on the videos. Lessons learned. But this is really good, and it's kind of neat eating something that it's such an old recipe, you know, from, again, the 1400s, 1450. Yeah, this is awesome. I think I will do this again because it's actually a pretty easy recipe, but I would definitely use beef short ribs in the future. I think it would be even better because there's just so much more, those big chunks of that beautiful short rib meat on there. But wow. Anyway, so like I said, I do have another recipe that I'm going to shoot. It's a pork rib recipe, you know, but it's a really cool recipe as well, and it has some very unique ingredients to it. So hope you guys want to see that. Let me know what you think of this. If you want to see more of these really obscure, historic, or just kind of ancient cooks that we can kind of revive, I had fun. I had a lot of fun doing this. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. If you're new to the channel or you have not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscription button, ringing the notification bell. Thumb up the video if you like it. I hope you did. I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.